Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy, here with another exciting episode of VidBlaster. That VidBlaster guy. You know, the show about VidBlaster. VidBlaster, I tell you what, I remember searching around the world on the internet looking for some kind of live switching software. This was probably back in 2007, 2008. And VidBlaster was the first thing I found, just one of those things. You know how you can't get the search terms right in Google for whatever it is you're looking for, and finally you hit on the right combination, and then pow, there it is, the thing you're looking for. And it was VidBlaster. Downloaded it, tried it, fell in love. It was intuitive, worked the way I did. It was easy to learn, loved it. And the rest, as they say, is history. You know, I got involved in the VidBlaster forum, which is forum.vidblaster.com, and actually became a moderator. Was then invited to become an MVP on the forum. That is actually going out and actively helping people with VidBlaster, and then asked to be a reseller. So I'm an authorized VidBlaster reseller. That is, if you're interested in VidBlaster, I can help you. I can help you purchase it and help you after the sale. So kind of got all that full disclosure stuff out of the way early on. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching it. Please subscribe. That way you'll get a notice whenever we post a new video. And if you're watching live, well, I don't know what we're going to do about those live guys. Thank you for tuning in and helping out with today's show and the pre-show. It was a good chat. We were talking about the snow. There's snow all over the world today. And at least all over our little world here in the U.S. And we were talking about what the snow here. Well, here's a picture. Here's what the snow looked like back in Japan in 2012. That was actually the summer of 2012 on a mountain road going up to one of the mountains. Anyway, enough of that. So what we find is that VidBlaster is really cool software. It's continuing to evolve, but sometimes people don't quite get how it works. And so we need to periodically, find ways of communicating to them information so that they can get it. And several great ways that VidBlaster's got that. One is the help that's built into the VidBlaster software. And that should be everybody's very first stop. When they don't understand something, go to help. Now, help typically just explains how things in VidBlaster work. Okay? We got that part. It explains how VidBlaster works. But what if you want to do something? How do you make VidBlaster do what you want it to do? That's, now we have to apply the knowledge that we have of how VidBlaster works to make it solve the problem that we need to. And that's where the wiki comes in, the wiki.vidblaster.com. There are lots of great articles in there on how to do audio, how to integrate cameras, how to bring in Skype callers. A lot of the kinds of things that people like to do are in the wiki. And then there are the things that are a little bit more obscure. And I get those questions all the time. And I've made a list of them. And I can't wait to tell you the questions, number one, and then the answers, number two. And this is a great question. This comes from Kurt, and this came from the VidBlaster forum, which, by the way, is forum.vidblaster.com. And Kurt was asking, boy, this didn't even come on my radar until he had mentioned it, and I'm so glad he did. What about VidBlaster and Windows 10? Is VidBlaster compatible with Windows 10? Well, the official answer is VidBlaster is compatible with Windows 7 and Windows 8 and XP and, all those other ones that we might, I guess, Vista and ME and some of those others are no longer supported. But ones like Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1 are officially supported by VidBlaster, but Windows 10 isn't. And in fact, Windows 10 doesn't officially exist yet. It's just in beta or alpha or whatever it is out there where people are trying it. You can try it, but from what I understand, VidBlaster won't even run in some cases. Now, certainly all that's going to be fixed up and patched up, and that may be a fault with Windows as much as anything else, as opposed to VidBlaster. So at this point, no, VidBlaster is not compatible with Windows 10, and we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. But Windows 10 sounds like it's going to be a great product, and I'm sure VidBlaster will be compatible with it very quickly. VidBlaster is currently in version 3. The latest beta is version 3.34. But when VidBlaster moved from version 2 to version 3, some of the module names changed. And when that happened, that meant that profiles that you created in version 2 probably didn't work in version 3. Because, number one, the program module was gone. There was no program module. There's a monitor module that can be used to display program, but that was sort of a basic change that really rendered a lot of version 2 profiles not compatible with version 3. And Andy asked, has anybody written a script that will modify a version 2 profile to become a version 3 profile? And I thought that was a great question. I haven't heard of anybody doing that, to be real quick with the answer. And I will say that if a script were available, yeah, I'd probably use it because I'm so lazy. But I also would recommend, for somebody else, not for me, I would recommend that you recreate that module from the ground up, even if it's a complex module that has lots of things attached to other things, lots of effect modules that has picture-in-picture embedded in other picture-in-picture, that kind of thing. I would, obviously you want to make a map of it before you just abandon it. But I think there's a benefit to redoing it and kind of going back and reconsidering the logic and the thinking that you put into the creation of your previous module. And you may find that there's a better way to do it, especially if you've had a chance to play around with version 3 and have seen some of the things that it can do. There may be better ways of doing what you did before now in version 3. And certainly one very quick one that's an easy answer is version 3 doesn't have the playlist module anymore. Instead, it has the Playout Controller. And so anything that referred to a playlist, of course, wouldn't work in version 3. But Andy, good question. And I encourage you to go back and rework those profiles and kind of update them to version 3. I think you'll find that you will when you get done with it, not in the middle of it, you'll be cussing me in the middle of it, but when you get done, you'll say, that was pretty good exercise. I know my profile better, and I probably was able to improve it. Ted asked a question, and this is not Ted that's watching. It was a different Ted that said, "Is the tally lights that VidBlaster has built into it now? Actually, it's a beta. There's a tally light module beta built into VidBlaster. I think as of version 3.30 or 3.32. Anyway, it's been really recently." Is that available in all of the editions of VidBlaster? Typically, some of the high-end stuff is only available in the studio and broadcast editions, but tally lights are available for all the different editions. So if you've got the home edition and you want to do as many cameras as you can do with the home edition, you could have tally lights too, and they'll work and they'll be there. The tally lights currently that are available for VidBlaster, Martin Kay has created one set, and you can go to the VidBlaster wiki.vidblaster.com, and read about those. And then the folks at tallylights.com, tally-lights.com, have created a set that will work with VidBlaster. And I've actually got a set here in the studio. I'm in the process of getting them installed. And hopefully we'll have Ted Kazmierzak, the creator of Tally Lights, on the show next week or thereafter sometime, when we can dig him out of the snowbank up there in Michigan. So the good news is, yes, Tally Lights are available in all of the editions of VidBlaster, and that would be Home, Pro, Studio, and Broadcast. David asked the question, does, oh, no, he didn't ask the question. He had the comment, my video looks like fill in the blank. And he said it's pixelated and it just doesn't look good. And I've got a good camera and I've got plenty of internet and I've got a good PC. But, you know, people that are looking at my broadcast, on the other hand, say it just looks awful. It's got big blocks. And what does that mean? Well, that kind of blockiness can also be referred to as pixelization. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I'm not going to say it 3 times quickly. But that pixelization sometimes can indicate that you're not streaming at a high enough rate, or maybe your video is lower resolution than what people are expecting, or maybe your video is actually lower than you think it is. And actually, I got on the phone with David and talked with him about this. And I said, very first thing I said, all right, David, open up VidBlaster. Here we go. Go up to the video menu in the top. And there's a little drop down there. And so he did that and dropped down. And I said, one of the options on that is resolution. Tell me what your resolution is. And he said, oh. His resolution was set the way it was set when he downloaded VidBlaster. And the default, it probably should be higher. The default resolution in VidBlaster is 320 by 240, which is like that big. Really, it's a little bigger than that. But nevertheless, it's pretty small. And the reason is because, you know, Mike Versteeg, the developer of VidBlaster, he doesn't know what kind of computer you're trying to run this on. And so he's going to make, when it loads the very first time, he wants it to load as lightly as possible, and then you can choose to make it more heavy duty by resetting the resolution, and also by resetting the frame rate. And so David and I worked on, you know, the very first thing is we bumped his resolution up. I think we just bumped it up to 640 by 480. So 320 by 240 to 640 by 480, the numbers double, but really it's a quadrupling of the resolution. And his first comment was, oh, a lot of that going around. And he said, that's so much better. It's so much better. And I said, okay, it's not done yet. Let's do one more thing. Let's go back up to video. And then this time we'll go to frame rate. And then the default in VidBlaster is 25 frames a second, because that's what they use in Europe, where VidBlaster was born. And I said, here in the US, since we're on a 60-cycle light system, whatever that is, we go with 30 frames a second, so we don't have any kind of strobing effect. And so change that over too. And so he did. But that's one of those things that, unless you kind of know, how are you going to know, golly, one of the first things I need to do is to kind of up the global frame rate in VidBlaster. Currently, my global frame rate is set to 864 by 480, 480 being standard definition, 864 being widescreen. So it's widescreen, and that's what you're seeing right now is 480. And I'm recording this, actually I think I'm recording it at 720. But that's a different story for a different time. But it's obviously it's not going to make it better. It's only going to record the 480 part. So if you're getting pixelized, boy, that's a new word. If you're getting pixelization in your video, first check the simple stuff. Check VidBlaster's master resolution and see what it's set for. It should, I think, it should be set for probably what your cameras will take. And also factoring in what your processor is, and also factoring in what your internet speed is, and so kind of measuring all those variables and then coming out with the right combination. And for me, my camera will go up to 1080. My internet speed is 27 megs up, but my processor is an old 2600K quad core, but still. And I'm running a bunch of effects modules which chew up CPU cycles, so I have to be a little bit more economical and have chosen to go with a 480 resolution. Let's see. Richard asked the question, can VidBlaster use a touchscreen monitor? Well, yes, Richard. VidBlaster can use a touchscreen monitor. Basically anything that you can click, you can touch. So one of the ways that VidBlaster probably is not very good with touchscreen is if you want to right-click a module in order to open up a menu, it's easier to use a mouse for that. But if you're just switching cameras that just require basically moving from one module to the next, or even using the switcher, it's certainly easy to use a touchscreen. And it might be easier for people to learn to use a touchscreen too. I mean, VidBlaster, basically, you want to switch a camera, you just touch it. You just click it with the mouse, and there you go. This has come up a lot. John has asked the question, I hear all this talk about these great beta features, and I downloaded version 3.34, which is the latest beta, but I don't see any beta features. When I go up to video, when I go up to the module menu and then go to add, I don't see anything that says beta. Well, John, that's because it hasn't been recently. It's probably maybe 6 months ago. Maybe it's been a year by now. Anyway, all the betas were sort of temporarily hidden. Not where you can't find them, but where you have to go look for them. That keeps them out of the hands of people that don't need to be playing with betas because they're still learning and they don't need to be confused by anything that may not work perfectly yet. I mean, that's a beta. Beta things are still being worked out. So the beta functions have been hidden, and in order to get access to the beta functions, you hold down the control key, press the shift key, and then with your mouse, you click the module menu at the top. And then when you click add, it'll drop down a bigger module menu that'll have the recorder beta and the streamer beta and the tally lights beta and some of the other betas that are available for you to play with. So it's control, shift, and then left click on modules and then add, and that'll get you to the beta manual. Here's a question that really made me feel good. Paul wrote and asked, will you be my mentor? Oh, yeah, I'll be your mentor. I'll help you out. And here's the deal, because I'd be overrun. If you buy VidBlaster, I'm yours for life. My life or your life, whichever comes first. I'm available to help you work through problems by phone, by email, by text. I got a text from somebody this morning that says, I'm just getting out of the shower. Can I call you? Yeah, you can call me. Get a towel on first, but you can call me. And so that comes with the purchase of the software. So if you've got the home edition, if you've got this broadcast edition, it doesn't matter to me. You are my client. I'm going to help you. I'm not going to abandon you. If you've got a project that you're working on that is, not necessarily VidBlaster specific, and you need help outside of the VidBlaster realm, then we may need to enter some sort of fiduciary relationship where, you're getting a bill, essentially. And for my time, especially, if it's just a question or two, that's no big deal. But if it's going to be a series of phone calls over a series of weeks or months, then we need to enter into some sort of relationship. And you can call that a mentor relationship, or you can call it a client relationship, whatever. In fact, what's the name of it? Oh, there's an outfit called liveninja.com that I've signed up with that allows me to do video conferences, and you can basically select how long you want to talk to me by the fee. And I think right now the fee is like $0 for up to 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes it's $20 an hour or something like that. So if you're interested in that, in fact, it's on my website now under streaming consultations, I think. I don't have the website up in front of me, but it's easternshorebroadcasting.com. You like that, how I slung that elbow out there so that you could read that whole thing? easternshorebroadcasting.com. and go to the whatever part of this, you'll find it. Just go to the website and look around. It's there, and you can set up an appointment, schedule an appointment with me, and somebody in the chat room was like, Shift Control right click. No, it's Control Shift left click on modules. There you go. Okay. Anyway, if I can help you, I am quite willing to, and I will be your mentor, Paul. Alan asked, and this is not our Alan, this is another Alan, says, where did you get that cool VidBlaster theme music? Well, I'll tell you all my secrets. The cool VidBlaster theme music is something called, it's actually named Pumped Up. And I got that from a company online called Pond5. That's P-O-N-D and then the number 5, pond5.com. And, they've got samples of all their, in fact, they've got the full version of all their music. I think it just has a voice overlaid in it going Pond 5, or something like that. But you can still hear the music. But Pond 5 is where I got it. I think it was $35. I've had it for, 2.5 years. That's a pretty good deal. I will say the very first time I used it on YouTube flagged it and said, oh, this is copyrighted material. You can't be doing this. We're pulling down your video until, forever. And so I literally cut and pasted the license agreement with Pond 5 into my reply to YouTube, and within a day or two, they had restored the video and all subsequent videos. And so maybe they've gotten over that kind of stinginess since then. And this is not a question, but this is a comment. I was looking today through our archives, and our archives go all the way back to July 12th, 2012. And our very first show was not really a show. It was a tutorial. And so if you want to have some fun sometime and see something that was terrible, go all the way back to our very first 198 different videos. But video number 1 was made July 12th, 2012. The week after that, July 19th, is when Al Bunt came on the show for the very first time. And that's been one of our most popular videos, over 7,000 views of that video where Al and I talked about broadcasting church services. It was a great show, and I enjoyed it a bunch. Al's a good guy. In fact, he's going to come back on the show here before too long, and we're going to talk some more about macros and playout controllers and APIs and that kind of stuff. So that'll be kind of fun. Okay, I think we have about reached the end of our time here. What else did I want to tell you? Golly gee. But many thanks to so many folks that have helped out getting this show on the air, to Martin Kay for doing the background here and that really cool intro and the cool outro that you're going to see in just a few minutes. And for those folks along the way that have helped out, we really do appreciate it. And for all the folks that had questions today, asking a question is the best way to learn. And sometimes just figuring out how to ask the question answers the question. Once you are able to articulate and boil down the concepts that you're asking about, the answer just a lot of times will just present itself automatically. I know. One last thing. Troubleshooting tip of the day. Always start with the simplest solution. I always start with the most difficult. Oh, it's probably that this got corrupted, and so I've got to download this and then reformat my hard drive and reconfigure this and blah blah blah. And maybe it's just unplugged. Maybe you just need to check the plug first. Anyway, start with the simple stuff and move up to the hard stuff. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. It's been a real treat to be with you today, and I can't wait to be with you again next time on That VidBlaster Guy. Remember, we're live on Wednesdays, so show up 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock in the United Kingdom, depending on the time change and all that. And I think it's like 5 o'clock in the morning in Sydney, Australia. So get up early and watch us sometime. Love to have you. Take care. Bye now.